again or start talking again. Okay, so we're out on the road, going caching with the dogs. As I was watching and editing the last video, the last caching experience, I noticed that at the start of the video I said that I was feeling a bit down, a bit depressed. And then at the end of the video, I was all happy, saying that it was a really good day, really good experience, great fun, blah, blah, blah. And I realized that that's what having dogs does for you. It gives you so much benefit to your life, because for someone like me, it forces me to get up and go out for a walk and not just sit at home and do nothing. It forces me to have something that's responsible, or that I'm responsible for, in that going out and finding some caches and taking the dogs for a walk and finding some new dog parks and exploring is going to be the way we do it today. So we're going to go try and find a couple more of the Dog's Tail caches that I found one of the other day, because they're going to take us to some dog parks. As I said in that video, I'm not sure if it made it through to the edited version, there's a lot of places on the peninsula where I live at the moment that are really awesome, but unfortunately they are no dogs because they're national parks and stuff. I kind of get it. I kind of understand why places are not anti-dog, but are dog-free or no dogs, because you never know what a dog's necessarily going to do. They might even just shitting. I've got no problem with dog shit, okay? Dog shit can get all over my hands. I don't care. I'll go clean them before I put them in my mouth. And even if I did put it in my mouth, I know that the likelihood of getting sick from just some dog poo is probably not the most likely. Obviously, I'd try to avoid that. But I remember one time I picked up some of my dog's poo using a leaf. Got a leaf and I went, and I threw it into the bushes. And my boss at the time, when I was working a gardening job, was like, sort of turned his nose up at it. And I'm just like, it's just dog poo. Like, people need to calm down. If there's dog poo sitting in the middle of a pathway and a walkway in front of a store or something like that, yeah, that's a problem. You get rid of it. You move it on. If there's mass amounts of dog poo places, then yeah, you want to get rid of that. That's a bit off. That's not good. But a little bit of dog poo occasionally in some spots, it's not really the end of the world, is it? Anyway, I don't think so. Anyway. Yeah, so we're on our way to get, that's probably not going to make it into the thing. So yeah, I understand a lot of the people smoking outside the hospital. We're going to find some caches at some dog parks, because a lot of the places along the peninsula that I really want to go to find caches are no dogs allowed, which is a real shame, because I'd love to take my dogs to some of these big parks and stuff, national parks and stuff. I'd love to go camping with my dogs, but for a few different reasons, one of them being that that national parks don't allow dogs. It's a shame. But anyway, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Here we go. So we've just pulled up at the dog park. And we've got a little bit of growling going on to start with. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dogs here. And they're all big. We've got at least one German Shepherd. We've got what looks like an old bow-legged heeler, perhaps. Now, that group of 5 look like they might be heading away. But then we've got a big Labradorish dog running around and some other dogs chasing and doing stuff. Oh no, they're just doing laps, which is fair. Now, all of these dogs are having a good time. They're all getting on. None of them are barking at each other. None of them are. They're not even really playing with each other necessarily. They're just chilling, sniffing, doing their thing. But I don't know if the camera picks it up. But we've got some actual shaking going on with these two. So, okay, calm down. So, what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and go in and stick to our side. Or stick to a side. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so we're at the park. We're in the park, in the dog park. And the really cool thing about this dog park is that in the middle of the dog park, there is a community garden, which is fantastic. It looks like it's got a wood-fired pizza oven, it's got compost bays, it's got rainwater collection, a bit of solar, and a whole heap of veggie plots, which it's like the English allotment system, and I love it. I would love to have one of my own, but I can barely maintain my own garden at home, so I'm not going to bother trying to get one. We've already had an interaction with some other dogs. We got some growls from this other dog who didn't take kindly to Asher being aggressive. Luckily, we sort of moved away from where they were walking and they understood what was going on, and so they got their dogs away too. And no one was upset and no problems. It's just the stupidity of having dogs that go quickly to being argumentative. So, the first cache, or the cache that we're looking for, is Dog's Tale number 1 from the series. Blah, blah, blah. Please pick up the poo. Why would you pick up the dog poo? Come on. No, of course, pick up your dog poo. Miniature Fox Terrier is the colour that they've, or the dog that they've referenced. So similar to my two, being terriers, trying to terrorise people. The case you're looking for is a micro that should be fairly easy to find. There are birds here, and the dogs like to chase after them, and they're just slow enough that they can chase after dogs or after the birds because they're not going to catch them. I'm not going to use the hint just yet because I think this is going to be a fairly easy one to find. Although, oh no! There are a number of do not finds, but the owner has checked it recently in the last month and said that it is definitely still there. So it's going to be a difficult one, I think, but that's not a problem. Don't mind a challenge. Lovely backdrop up there. So I'll be back, hopefully, with the cache. Okay, so I have found the cache. Much like the maintenance from the owner said, it is still here. Now I've just got to find it again. Oh, now I've lost it. There it is. That's it right there. But the thing is, so inside that there'll be a little log, just a piece of paper. But again, even though I did it last time and didn't think of it this time, I didn't bring a pen. So there's no point me taking it out. There's no point me signing it. So I'm just going to leave it where it is and find it on my phone. Okay, so that was a good cache, that one. I am somewhat surprised that people couldn't find it, though. That other people had troubles. The cache owner did some maintenance by checking on it, and they were absolutely correct. Great little park. Again, I love, as a gardener and a bit of a fruit and veg hippie, I love the allotment system of having a courier behind me coming in hot. and having to slow right down because there are cars on both sides of the road here. I love the allotment systems of having little areas that people can go and garden and spend time at. As much as I like and encourage people to grow food in their own backyard, because there's no reason why you can't plant a fruit tree instead of an ornamental tree, having a little allotment like that where you can be around other like-minded people and you can get inspiration and from their little allotment, when they're there you can say, oh, how do you do that, and how do you get your aubergines so nice, and all that kind of stuff, and get tips and share things. It's fantastic. So yeah, really like that. And I love the fact that there's a dog park around it. Like, it's just a section in the middle of this dog park, which is fantastic as well. Community spirit and people who have got dogs that actually interact with each other can become friends and stuff like that. Like, you hear about meet cutes where their dogs become friends at the dog park, and then they start hanging out together at the dog park, and then they date, and then they become a family and all that kind of stuff. That's never going to happen to me, because unless we meet a dog or dogs who are incredibly understanding and nice, we're always going to have the problem of these little bitches being bitchy. I am seeing, and I'm not against it, but I am seeing a lot of caravans in front yards at the moment. It's an interesting situation we're living in. I mean, I'm on the verge of, I've only got a handful of months left, and I'm going to be moving out of my current place. And I've got no idea where I'm going to end up. It's very, worrying's not the right word, but it's interesting as to where I'm going to end up. And I see these caravans in people's front yards, and I think to myself, it's not just me that's going through a shit time. It is literally almost everyone else. Even the people with money are doing it tough. I compare myself to a close friend quite often, and not in a competitive way, but just in a curiosity. Isn't it interesting how our lives started quite similar and have diverged in a way, or in a lot of ways? And I think to myself, he's got just as many concerns as I do. He just has different concerns. His concerns are not quite as, maybe not as severe as mine, but his dollar doesn't go anywhere, doesn't go as far as it used to, just like my dollar doesn't go as far as it used to. And he's got more mouths to feed, as it were, than I do, and so his expenses are more. So even though he might be bringing in more, he's still got just as much going out. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if when you sort of add it all up, it's our financial situations are probably fairly similar. I mean, he's got a bit more security than me because he's better with money and more sensible and hardworking than I am. But as I said, his dollar doesn't go as far as his dollar used to, and neither does mine. And I think a lot of people are in that situation at the moment, whereby living in a caravan in your front yard of your mum's place or whoever is actually an unfortunately very valid situation, because expenses and stuff are all just out of control at the moment. I mean, I haven't bought drugs or records or books or anything in over a couple of years. It's terrible. So we're at A Dog's Tale number 14. Somebody used a right note instead of a found it, or they did a double up. Looks like a lot of people are finding this one, and a beagle is the type of breed that they're giving you a bit of information on for this one. The cache is searching for 100 milliliter Systema containers. It's going to be much bigger than the last one that we found. Recommending to use stealth and all that kind of stuff. Okay, let's grab our coffee and head on in. This is a delightful little park. Not as busy as the other one. The last one we were at had a school near it and the veggie patches, the allotments. This one has nothing, just houses. As is common these days, houses are being built very, very close. Oh my God. Houses are being built very, very close to the fence line because people don't want gardens anymore. They just want property. They want housing, bigger lounge rooms, that kind of thing. Oh, pardon me. I have got the burps. But this park's fantastic. There's a bunch of trees here, which in my head, I want to call them native frangipanis, but I don't think they are. They're something else. But they smell fantastic this time of year in early spring, first spring, or fake spring, as it's known in Melbourne. And sitting on this bench is just delightful. The dogs are just trotting away, sniffing and exploring. I read somewhere that you should let your dogs sniff because that's them exploring and reading what's going on in the area and stuff. And if it's a dog park, there's probably going to be dog piss and dog poo everywhere. And you should let them do what they're going to do, rolling around in the smells and stuff. So coming here and just sitting down and watching the dogs go for a big sniff is fantastic. Very relaxing, especially in this modern age when you can listen to an audiobook or a podcast. Great stuff. Now, I have gone to the wrong end of the park, but we're going to head down there now and see if we can find it. I don't think it'll be too hard for some reason. I feel like this one's going to be relatively easy. So let's head on down. There's a tree line just there, that blocks out the road really well. So you really don't feel like you're right next to the road, being right next to a bunch of buildings and stuff and houses. Oh, Jesus. Kind of a step there. Isn't that great? I'm loving how much solar panel, well, how many solar panels I can see on roofs. It's fantastic because the more solar, the better. We shouldn't, in my opinion, we shouldn't build more power stations and coal or nuclear or anything like that. We should just focus on solar and then use the coal and everything, the normal power supplies that we have, and then just add solar to it. Combined with turning things off. You don't necessarily need to have something on all the time. A little bit further. It's going to be right in the corner, I think. Beagle, yep. It doesn't say in the description anything too detailed. Oh, no, I've walked past it. So is it going to be this tree? I think it is this tree right here. So the question is, whereabouts in this tree? And if it's 100 mil Systema, that means it's a container. So I'm going to, I literally went to step on the roots of the tree and almost stood on on the cache. I don't actually like this as a hiding spot, I'll be honest. That's not a good enough hiding spot, in my opinion. There's a key in there and a log. Again, because I've forgotten to bring a pen yet again, I can't sign it, so I may have to come back to these dog parks. What a shame. And sign them then. But I genuinely think that is a terrible hiding spot for a cache. I'm going to check the notes and stuff and maybe transfer it to the fork of the tree. We'll see. Well, I did a look on the notes, and it doesn't say anything about the placing of the cache, so I'm going to leave it where it was. I'm going to include in my notes that, or in my find log, that I don't like the position just because it doesn't seem well hidden. Could get damaged, could get found. But that's up to the owner of the cache as to what they want to do with it. I'm going to call it at that for the day and head home. So the dogs have had a good run and a bit of excitement. I've cheered my spirits up just a little bit. Not a great deal because I've eaten too much sugar. But yet again, a day caching and out in the field doing stuff is always going to be better than a day sitting at home being miserable. So, yeah, fun times caching.